Welcome to the Tuning In podcast, where we talk alignment, intuition, and our internal guidance system. We cover woo-woo topics in an approachable and practical way. I'm your host, Dana Evans of Alignful.com. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Tuning In podcast. I'm your host, Dana Evans, and as always, thank you for tuning in with me today. So this week we are talking about a topic called finding your people. This is something that I think we all need to consider a little bit more in terms of our energy, who we surround ourselves with or who we don't surround ourselves with, and what our intentions are in all of our interactions. Friends, family, loved ones. Sometimes we end up in a situation where we haven't exactly chosen the people that we're surrounded with, and there are side effects to that. So this week we're talking about that and talking about how you can start to pay attention and consciously choose who you spend time with so that all of your interactions are not only serving you for your highest, but also serving those around you. So without further ado, here is this week's episode 9. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you for tuning in on this lovely, beautiful day. And today we're going to talk about finding your people. So I just returned from an event last week of 600 plus people, and I left feeling a magical, connected sense that frankly I have not felt in a really long time. You see, as an entrepreneur, as someone who works from home, I don't have to interact with people very often. And I say have to, but I also don't get to interact with people very often, or if I do, it's a conscious effort. You see, I'm not going to an office and seeing and chatting with people on a regular basis. While I generally like that because I don't have to interact with people I may or may not want to, I also realize the flip side of that, which is, I get kind of lonely. And having phone conversations is just not the same as in-person interaction. And because of that, I realized that I need to make a more concerted effort to actively interact with people on a regular basis, but not just anyone. Here's the deal. Any of us who have worked in an office environment, we know the effects of coworkers that maybe we just don't jive with. And it is true that if you are interacting with people on a regular basis that perhaps are not your people, it can be extremely draining and not serve you in the way you would like. And in that case, you might just wish you could work from home and be alone all of the time. Well, let me tell you, there is a downside to that. And sadly, I guess, I really didn't realize how much I was missing connection, in-person connection, until I went to this event. You see, I am in a training program, or was, with 12 other people who are training to be coaches, and we were all at this event together. We've spent 90 days talking, texting, messaging on video calls, but we hadn't seen each other in person. And when we did, I think we all felt that deep connection and energy of finding your person, your people. You see, we're all on a similar path. We are creating or have created online courses. We're digital CEOs. We're trying to create something on the internet and work with people in that format. We also all tend toward a little bit of the woo and alternative practices and ways of thinking and interacting with the world. That is a magical combination, topped on to the fact that we have spent 90 days in the trenches training and learning something new and overcoming fears and beliefs, and boom, all of a sudden we were all together and the energy was palpable. I felt more like myself, my true self at that event than I have felt for a couple of years. And I didn't know it. See, when we find a baseline for who we are and who we interact with on a regular basis, we unconsciously temper or shift our personalities to fit in with those that we spend time with. And I love the people I spend time with, absolutely. But what I didn't realize is the people I'm spending time with aren't actually doing or looking or striving for the same things that I am. And because of that, I shift myself and talk about whatever we have in common. Of course, I mean, that's how we interact with humans. So when I was suddenly in a room for hours and hours and days with people who are doing what I'm doing and going through struggles that I'm going through, everything connected. And a part of my personality just exploded through me. My heart was so big and expansive because I was free from any sort of limitation or limited belief or thought that I placed upon myself of who I could be and what I could share and who would understand me or not, that I could just fully step into myself. The interesting thing about that was after the first day of being Dana in her fullest, brightest, biggest form, I actually woke up the next morning with like a vulnerability hangover. I started to feel a little bit of shame and discomfort. I was thinking, oh my gosh, that was too much, Dana. Your personality was too big. You were stealing the show. You were overwhelming people. That's what came up for me. I actually woke up quite anxious and uncomfortable on the second day of that event, even though I had the most magical experience with these humans that I didn't know I was missing in my life. But then I stepped into the event again. Of course, I had set an intention to be more grounded and chill and quiet. As we do, right? We limit ourselves. But what I found was people liked my personality. People wanted to connect with me in that big, bright form. They didn't want me to shrink myself to fit with them. They accepted and responded to this big, bright version of me in a way that I didn't even realize was possible. And in fact, my big, bright personality, it didn't overshine anyone else's big, bright personality. For each of them was able to step into who they were. And together, we kept lifting and expanding one another into a new dimension. And it wasn't just these 12 coaches. It was all of the beautiful presenters on stage. It was the person who facilitated the entire event, why we were all there, James Wedmore. It was all of the 600 digital course creators, membership owners, online entrepreneurs who are in this to create something for everyone. We all were able to shine and expand, introverts and extroverts, all types of personalities, people from all over the world came together in a room and we lifted each other. We raised each other's vibration and we each were able to step into that fullest version of ourselves. You've heard that phrase before, right? Step into your true self, your authentic self, your fullest version. Lead with your heart. But these phrases, thinking them is not the same as experience them. And here's the deal. If you are constantly surrounding yourself with people who don't allow that or encourage that of you, then you don't truly know what it means. And that's not to make you feel bad, because I'm just saying I didn't truly know what it meant. And it's not that the people I love and surround myself with don't allow that of me, but it's that I was unconsciously limiting myself for the people that I surround myself with. Do you see the difference? It's accountability. It's the willingness to be vulnerable and to step into ourselves. And here's the thing, when you find your people, your real people, not the convenient people, not the ones who you just happen to be around a lot, but when you seek and connect with and find your people, that unconsciousness of limiting yourself, it goes away. And you're able to see your full potential of your personality and who you are. And then here's the beauty. You can take that learning, that information, and bring it back to the people that you see on a regular basis and become more you all the time. Because ultimately, the more of you that you are, the more others will level up to meet you where you are. It's the difference between dimming your light so you don't outshine others and keeping your light on bright so that others feel that they too can shine at their brightest. Two sides of the same coin, two ways of looking at things. When you, though, turn your light to the brightest, you can allow others to do the same. It may be unconscious until you allow yourself and let loose in your personality, then you realize what you've been holding back. And it's very simple. I heard a quote while at the event. I heard many, but here's one. The more you lean into who you are, the more you will attract your people. Be bold, be authentic, be you. How does that feel? Ask yourself, where am I holding back on my personality? Who am I holding back my personality with? What would it mean for me to be fully myself? And then you can track back the stories, the limited beliefs that your mind tells you about what it means to be fully yourself. Mine was that I am too much for people, that I overwhelm people, that I talk too much and steal the show. That's a story of what my personality does. And so if that's my story, of course, that's not really encouraging. So of course, I'm going to tone it down. But what if me being myself opens up others to be themselves and they can talk more and they can share more and they can realize that, they don't overwhelm people. So being bold, being authentic, being you. But in order to be you, you have to find the people who you can be you around. And it's really, really important. As life goes on, I think what happens is convenience trumps authenticity. We end up in relationships and friendships that they kind of happen to us, whether it's, your coworkers, or if you have kids, it might be the mom's kids or friends of your spouse, for example, or people who just happen to live close to you. That is an accident sometimes, and it's a convenience friendship. Now, here's the deal. There's nothing wrong with that. All relationships can be really valuable if we're willing to be ourselves within them. And I just ask you to look at these friendships, these relationships that you have and say, are these convenient? If I wasn't regularly surrounded by this person, would I choose to spend time with them? Look, I'm a little uncomfortable even sharing that with you because I know this is a sensitive subject. But if we don't ask these questions, if we allow life and friendships and relationships to happen to us, then we're not consciously choosing choices that serve us as individuals. So with every relationship, look at it and ask yourself, is this really a relationship that I want? Because here's the deal. Your time and your energy are your most valuable resources. Every time you say yes to an interaction, you're saying no to something else, be it personal time with yourself, which is extremely valuable, or time on work, or time having play, or time with your family, or, of course, time with people you truly want to spend it with. Your people. We have to inventory everything in our lives. Where we spend our time and energy is a choice. Who we spend our time and energy on needs to become a choice. Think about any relationships. This is a really good way to figure out how this relationship is serving you or not. When you leave the interaction, and this is a barometer I use all the time, and because I am very careful about who I bring into my life, because frankly, I like to spend a lot of time alone. And when I don't have time alone, I tend to get a little snippy and worn out. So I like to spend time alone. I love to spend time with my husband, my cat. I have quite a few people that I very much love to have phone conversations with who don't live near me. So with all of that, my one-on-one social interactions are kind of limited. So with the people I do spend time with, I love to check in. When I'm in this interaction, when I leave this interaction, do I feel drained or do I feel filled up? Oof, right? One of my old coworkers, they used to use the phrase, I think people that drain you, they call them vampires because they're like, suck your blood. So the vampires, they take your energy. They take and don't replenish it. Now listen, there's always times in relationships and friendships, there is always going to be give and take. And sometimes the relationship will be more giving and sometimes you need to take more. That is not the same thing. You know who I'm talking about when I say, what are the relationships that drain you? They call you when they need you only. They don't check in on you when things are good. They ask of you, and frankly, sometimes it feels like they demand of you. And if you set a boundary, if you say no, somehow it becomes your fault. Be honest with yourself. Do you have these relationships in your life? And if you do, what can you do about that? There's a few options that you have. One, spending less time with this person in this relationship. It's just Sean Croxton, someone I follow, he used to say, spend less time, go less often, right? So that is one option. You say no more. The other option is setting a boundary or many boundaries in how the interaction, the relationship will work. And if that person can't respect the boundary, then it shows that perhaps they're not valuing your time and your energy. And thus you end up at option 3 where you start to simmer down or close the relationship. What comes up when you think about that? What comes up for you when you think about closing down a relationship, closing the chapter on that? It doesn't have to be abrupt and be like, we can no longer be friends because you only take from me. It can start with a series of conversations. It can start with a series of you just saying no. But what comes up for you with the idea of ending relationships that aren't serving you and are not mutually beneficial? It can be uncomfortable. But here's my perspective. The more I say no to relationships and interactions that aren't serving me, the more I value my time and energy, the more I create space for those relationships that will serve me. Because as I described earlier, we have limited time and energy, and especially if you're not particularly social, you can't see everyone and do everything all the time, including family. So everything is a choice. The more you're surrounding yourself with people who drain you, who deplete you, who make you feel like you can't do it, who don't believe in you, who aren't pushing and challenging you to grow and become another version of yourself, the more you spend time with that energy, the less time you're going to have for the people who do encourage you, who do believe in you, who do make you feel seen and loved in every interaction. And the more you're going to shift your energy to meet those who bring you down versus expanding your energy and encouraging others to join you. So it's your choice. Are you going to allow the convenience of relationships dictate how your life will evolve? Are you going to allow circumstances to determine whether or not you can find your people and spend time with them? Or are you going to choose the path of evolution, the path of you feeling alive and connected and moving toward that? What's the cost of not finding your people? What's the cost in 10 years from now if you are not actively looking for the people who you love to be around, who brighten you and encourage you to shine? What does your life look like then? If you allow those who bring you down to continue to do so. It's a sensitive topic. It takes time and it takes awareness. I remember this metaphor. I forget what it's from, but they were saying that life is kind of like an elevator, and you get on and it's like a big party of all these people on the same level as you. But as you continue to grow and evolve, the elevator goes up to the next floor. Some people get off. The next floor, some people get off. All of a sudden, you might find yourself in the penthouse and there's no one there yet. But see, with all of that space and awareness that you've created on the elevator ride, you realize that people are on their way. They're already at the penthouse and they're coming to find you. And you're attracting them by the energy that you're putting out. And you're like a magnet for those people because you've become clear on who you are. Who you are. You're authentic, you're you, you're bold in your personality and unapologetic, whatever it looks like. And your people are finding you. And those relationships are gold. Those are the relationships that see you through all phases of your life. They ebb and flow and they evolve as you do, as they do. And it's worth it to find those people, even if it's one person. But if you just sit where you are in your current circumstance and environment, you might just be at that first few floors of the elevator. Your people aren't there. Do you see that? They're waiting for you to get to the penthouse. So it's up to you to do the inner work, to tune in, to examine your relationships, examine yourself and how you show up in relationships, and ask hard questions. Who do I want to become? Who am I now? Who am I being now? And does that version of myself serve my future vision of myself? Or am I just letting my day run me? Am I just trying to get through the week? having interactions with people that I frankly don't care to have interactions with, but it's convenient and so I can't stop. What is your choice? Are you willing to start now so that in 10 years you do have your people? Because we've all heard the quote, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, the 5 people you spend the most time with. Look at your income, look at your energy levels, look at what you're looking and striving for in your life. And then look at those around you. Well, I've also heard the phrase, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find a new room. We get in our comfort zones. In fact, episode 1 is called, Are You a Grower? And it's all about how to allow ourselves to grow out of our comfort zone and into a new one. And part of that evolution is the relationships, the people who we spend time with, and the willingness to look for new people to spend time with. We have the choice to up level, but if we don't release those relationships that aren't serving us, they become tethers. They hold you back from becoming who you want to be. They take up space and time and energy. They demand of you. And I know you love these people. Maybe you love these people. But if you allow them to hold you back, that is a choice you are making. You can't blame them for that. You can take them on the journey with you. You can encourage them to follow you on the journey, but ultimately it is up to them and it is up to you. You have to be the keeper of your energy and your time. And you can be gracious and loving and beautiful about how you go about this. But at the end of the day, it is your choice. Are you going to allow yourself to move forward and grow and allow new people to find you and you find them? Or are you going to allow circumstances and convenience to tether you and keep you from the evolution that you seek because you're too scared to let go? And it's your choice. It's an evolution. It takes time, it takes awareness, and it takes compassion for yourself and others. But know that if you allow the flow to happen, you'll find yourself surrounded by the people who you truly want in your life. Spending time and energy with them will lift you up and lift them up in a way you never could have imagined. I know I felt that way with the group of people I met last week, and it shifted my perspective. And I was reminded of who I am and that I can bring that into every relationship and that I can take care of myself throughout all of it, that I do have a choice and I can always say yes or no. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tuning In podcast. As always, if this would resonate with anyone you know, please share the episode. You can follow along with my journey on Instagram at Dana_Evans or find me on my website at alignful.com. What if you could get an hour back each week and spend it on yourself? Not just scrolling through Instagram, checking email, or responding to the demands of work, but actually doing things that fill you up. What if you could bring yourself back toward alignment so that your thoughts, feelings, and actions are in line with what you want, need, and desire? So you feel connected to yourself, are clear about your needs, and can confidently say no. So you can hear the soft inner voice encouraging you to take care of yourself first. So that you can trust yourself to make decisions that serve you, Let's find this alignment together. I am hosting a free Fireside Chat to help you find alignment in your everyday life, so you stop trying to get through the week and learn to flow through it with inspiration, joy, and time. If you'd like to join, go to the show notes to register.